Had a nice, polite conversation with the officer who cited me for 125 and a 70. So my buddy had just got a divorce. I had just lost my job, so we decided to take a 6,000-mile trip, and we had to be back in 3.5 days. So we left Indy at about 11:30 p.m. Ended up not making as good a time as we wanted, and got to New York at about 8:30. Got to Manhattan at about 9, so we got to the garage at about 9:30. We had to plead our case to get some pictures because they were super busy at that time. So we got out of there pretty quick, got to the tunnel, and got to Jersey relatively uneventfully. Pennsylvania and Ohio were pretty uneventful also.
Is that a combo? Sorry.
Indiana was pretty uneventful. Here you can see our sketchy fuel setup. But when we got to Illinois, it got a little bit sketchier. We just crossed the border, and we had a radar detector, laser detector. We were using Waze, and nothing went off, but saw some weird activity from one of the cars in the oncoming lane, and we slowed down to the 120s while this was happening. But he had flipped a UE and flipped on his lights, and we respectfully pulled over and had a nice, polite conversation with the officer who cited me for 125 and a 70. Despite all of our best persuasive efforts, the trooper decided to follow us to the Iowa border, which kind of hampered our time. It was still respectable. It was from Indy to Colorado, I think it was 12 hours, but not quite as good as what we were looking for. So we fueled up and headed out. Somewhere in the mountains of Utah, we were doing about 10 miles to the gallon. The car wouldn't even register the low MPG, but ran out of fuel, coasted a couple miles, ended up at an overlook where we were able to take some pictures and fuel up and head out. Alright, slow the fuck down. We got to Vegas at about 2:30 a.m. My buddy had never been, so we ended up cruising the strip. He did some polls. We went to the Luxor because he had never done live gambling. Ended up winning a couple $100, which was always nice. Then headed out. We were headed to LA, played with M2 or an M4, really don't know the difference on the way there. Ended up getting there at about 5:30, 6 in the morning. We had a buddy meeting us there, so he was going to kind of show us around, do some sightseeing before we had to leave. So we got some donuts, saw some sights, got some burgers, and then made our way back to Vegas. We stopped at the Shelby Museum on our way up to the Salt Flats. It was a little sketchier than either of us would have liked, being 2 a.m. in the dark on the flats for the first time. That's not brakes, ladies and gentlemen. That's Salton Springs. Straight from Utah back to Indianapolis and got there about 5:30, 6 o'clock on Saturday, so about 3.5 days. Ended up being 5,941.6 miles and 80 hours and 22 minutes. Have no idea how we got 15.6 MPG, but I'll take it. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Have a good day.